race. 2 privateers won. John Dowd, his very first 250 victory, and Doug Henry, his first 125 National Outdoor.
Matt Walker still attacking this track, making up a little bit of time on Travis. Gets out of that right there, jumps up onto the flat. He can see Travis up there and learn possibly a little bit from him, but he's just outside of that roost zone, so he still has his vision. You can see that, oh, Boland's gone down. That is a slick spot. That's where Travis got sideways in the opening lap.
And now Boland has the tough chore of getting the bike upright and getting back on the track.
Well, plus, as soon as you touch anything other than that clean grip, it's just about impossible to get a hold of the handlebars again. I've ridden here back in 1983 when it was so muddy I couldn't turn the throttle because my hand would slip on the grip.
Boland shaking the mud off that left hand. And here is our leader, Travis Pastrana, number 199. It's about the only number plate we'll see for a while.
Travis has got tearaways flying, rags flying. Those rags he's got are just in case his hands were to get muddy, he can grab one of those and clean up again.
Braving these elements is our own Davey Coombs, who's in the mechanics area. And I'm sure he has a rather unique vantage point as Travis does a little slip and run there. Davey?
Down here in the mechanics, everyone knew it was going to be a tough day. Already the mechanics are seeing the riders pull in for new gloves, new goggles. No surprises with Travis Pastrana out front. However, kind of a pleasant surprise with Matt Walker and Kelly Smith, a couple semi-privateers up there in the top 3. As for Boland, Roncada, and the other championship contenders, we've seen them both fall down. Steve Lamson fell down right behind us. It's going to be a big change over in the points if it keeps up like this.
It's a big possibility if our spotters are correct. They're telling us now that Pastrana is down. Matt Walker's our new leader, number 41. Still in third is Kelly Smith of the KTM. KTM has never won a national outdoor. And right there's the yellow flag, and he has passed Pastrana, moving into second place. Pastrana just on the lower section of our screen. You see him hop into the action right there.
So it looked like he might have gone down the same section. That looks like Billy Payne's split fire rider. Pretty good, huh? I could pick that out.
Boy.
A couple more laps into this race, I wouldn't see the green there.
No.
But Travis went down the same place that Boland went down. And that's just like ice. Any place you see that light colored dirt where it's shiny down to that hard surface, it's so slick.
And the battle is on. Pastrana once again moving into second place in front of number 41, Kelly Smith.
That's what I was talking about. Now, Travis was leading. He went down. Kelly got around him, but he's faster. He's attacking the track more. He's already able to get his position back. If he keeps riding like that, he should be able to catch Walker. But Walker looked pretty strong, too.
Kelly Smith might learn a thing or two behind Travis Pastrana. Matt Walker's our new leader. You see our field summary. Matt Walker still our leader. Kelly Smith in second. Pastrana in third. And Skaggs has moved up to fourth on the Husqvarna. There's number 26, Roncada, trying to get back up into the top 5.
Putting a little pressure on Lamson now.
Oh! Matt Walker, our leader, is down, David.
That's on an uphill, too. Look at the frustration. I think he's overheating. All that smoke pouring out, that's probably the water out of the radiator. Well, not probably, it is. Imagine putting a whole bunch of mud in the radiator of your car. It's going to overheat. That's what happens to these bikes. Once they get clogged, they don't get cleaned out again until they go back to the pits.
We saw Robbie Skaggs, number 115, and there is Roncada, 26, moving up the ranks on Steve Lamson, number 6. Lammy really having trouble with that off-camber, and Roncada moves in front of Lammy.
Yeah, he was applying the pressure, and Lamson, it looks to me like he's just riding smart. I know Lamson can ride better in the mud. There's Walker getting a push. He's definitely out for the moto. Look at the frustration. I don't think he's hurting. He's just going, man, I was leading it. Why did this have to happen? You've got to be smart. I think that's what Lamson's trying to do. He's trying to pick the best lines, stay out of the deep mud, out of the water puddles, try to stay out of the roost, and keep his equipment in good shape so he can go the distance.
The battle for third is on. Skaggs and Roncada.
Roncada just takes advantage of Skaggs trying to get some vision.
And Skaggs coming right back on Stefan.
He better stay ahead of him now because he's got no goggles. I don't think Stefan does either. Goggles only last about 2 or 3 laps, depending on the start you get. I'll bet you the mechanics are having a hard time trying to figure out which one is their rider. I've come to get a signal from a mechanic before and not gotten one because he didn't know what place I was in.
So here is the third leader of our race, Kelly Smith on the KTM. Doing a good job finding the right ruts. Let's go to the pitch.
Big change that lap, Steve. Kelly's in control.
Yeah, it is. We got a little lucky. Matt fell and Kelly took over, so there's like 4 minutes left plus 2 laps. Hopefully he can hold it on.
Can you tell anything about the bike? Does it look like the KTM's running good?
Yeah, the KTM's running awesome. You know, the water, it's really waterproofed well, and it's hooking up good.
Is Kelly going to stop for goggles by chance?
No chance. I don't think so. He said before the race he never likes to stop, so I definitely don't think now.
A lot on the line for KTM and Kelly Smith right now. That looks like Roncada.
I can't figure out who he's chasing or if that's a lapped rider. They both seem to be moving along pretty good. Oh, it's Skaggs.
Skaggs and Roncada going at it.
You can tell from the back. You certainly can't tell from the front with most of these guys.
Well, you see how difficult it is not only for the riders and the crews, but the scores, as well as the television camera guys. I don't know how they know where they're going.
They get used to these guys' riding style and colors, and they have to wait till they go by in some cases and see who they were, just as I had to do with Skaggs there.
So Robbie Skaggs, number 115, holding on to third place. Roncada up to fourth, landing in fifth. Alan Bolin coming back to eighth. We'll be back.
You never know. With mud conditions like this, deep ruts, lapped riders, you never know. You can't really count on anything until you go. Watch what happens. This rut curves a little bit. His body weight's lean to the outside, so watch what happens. Bike goes one way, he goes the other.
And that last lap at St. Louis, it was Fonseca coming from behind, and Kelly Smith only had a turn and a little straightaway to go to win the race, and Fonseca came down on him, put Kelly out of the race.
You see, he's struggling right here. Listen to the crowd. There's Pastrana. He's closing.
Oh, Travis Pastrana's on the move.
See how much faster he went around that corner at the top than Kelly did. So much different. These conditions change your line. The line changes so drastic from lap to lap because of all the other riders hitting the berm and moving it around.
Oh, this is great for the fans. On the final lap, Travis Pastrana putting the big challenge to Kelly Smith, and Kelly Smith looking for his very first victory.
This is the toughest off-camber on the whole track. Kelly washing out a little bit.
Here comes Pastrana to the inside. The lapper is there, though, and Travis Pastrana has stalled the bike.
I didn't see him do anything wrong. I mean, the lapper didn't get in his way, and the bike just quit.
And a frustrated Travis Pastrana, but a very happy Kelly Smith. The checkered flag for Kelly Smith.
Must have felt like an hour-long moto for Kelly. It takes so much energy. Your body, you weigh so much. Look at Travis. He just quit. What a frustrating day.
Kelly Smith's previous best moto finish was at Budds Creek, a second-place moto. But his best overall was a 6th at Millville.
Look at the emotion right there from Travis.
And Travis Pastrana is just fit to be tied. So Stefan Roncada moves up a notch. Skaggs moves up into third. Steve Lamson a fourth, and Nick Way a fifth. But it's Kelly Smith with a smile on his face. Davey Coombs wading over to the victory stand to talk to Stefan.
Stefan, that had been a tough one.
Well, I'm telling you, David, that was really bad out there. The first 2-3 laps, you know, the dirt was very wet and a lot of water in it, but as the race kept going, it got very, very sticky, and it was pretty hard to go up the hills.
Did you have any idea where you were?
No, I did at a point. I thought I was like way back, and the mechanic showed me like 7 on the board, and I was like, yeah, I got to come back stronger, you know. And I guess Travis crashed in the last corner down there, and I saw the yellow flag and went around, and I missed like there was a bunch of people in the same route, and I was like, yeah, I must have passed like a couple of people right there. So I was pretty stoked about that, you know. I think the main thing is to stay on 2 wheels in that kind of racing.
Good luck in the second moto.
Thank you, David.
Back in the day, Skaggs was on a Yamaha. His best moto was 6th. He finished in 3rd. So he continues to improve. And Kelly Smith, though, he's the one that took the checkers.
Kelly, it was about a year ago. You almost won a national moto at Budds Creek, and Carmichael got you at the end. This time you came up through. You were the one who played the spoiler, and you get your first ever national win.
Yeah, you know, Ricky was there to, take advantage of me, doing a little tip over last year, and this year I just, like I said, stepped it up a little bit, and got my way through the pack pretty good, and kept her up on 2 wheels for the most part, and pulled off the win first moto.
How muddy is it out there? I mean, it looked bad from where we were down the mechanics area.
You know, it's tacking up a lot, and it's actually making it tougher. I would rather, you know, just be able to not have to pick a rut and, you know, wallow around through the mud, but, you know, it's going to be a tough second moto, too.
One more moto to the overall. Got to get a start this time.
Yeah, you know, I didn't get a great start that first moto. It'd sure make it a lot easier if I could, you know, get a good jump and get out there ahead right away.
Hey, congratulations to you and the KTM team.
All right, thanks a lot, Davey.
Kelly Smith in good position for an overall 125 victory as the 250s now are thinking about how they're going to handle these conditions when we return. Welcome back to High Point Raceway, where we're getting set for the very first moto for the 250s. The 250 riders are at the gate. There's David Villeman. Right next to him is Kevin Windham. Windham, a good mud rider.
And a good starter, too, and obviously thinking he's going to get the whole shot because everyone's got tear-offs on top of their helmet. Foam, like David Villeman's got on his face mask, and Carmichael as well, just like Windham. These guys are going with nothing on their helmet. Figuring they're just going to get the whole shot. You see some tearaways on the top of Larocco's helmet. He knows he better put something up there.
Ricky Carmichael dominating, winning the first 3 straight motos with a 9-point lead over Tortelli. Villeman, Windham, and Albertine, the top 5 in the points chase. Earlier, Davey caught up with David Villeman.
Throughout the 250 Supercross season, it seemed like the one man who could consistently keep Jeremy McGrath in sight was Frenchman David Villeman. Well, now he's doing it in motocross, showing that he has the talent to possibly win an American Championship outdoors as well.
Yeah, I did a good Supercross series, and I'm starting the outdoor series pretty good, and I won last week over 2-2 in Arlington, so I'm pretty confident, and today hopefully I can do the same.
Today it's muddy, though. That's a big change. Are you a mud rider?
Yeah, I was last year, but I don't know about this year, and I rode a lot last year in GP on the mud, and you know, mud is pretty difficult to say, you know, a good start, and you have to stay on 2 wheels and ride smooth, you know. Problem is goggles. If I can keep the goggles like 30 minutes would be great. And I think I can do good.
David Villeman, his first visit to High Point, it's muddy, but he's going after the 250 National Championship.
Well, he's in a good position to do so as we take a look at the starting grid. The defending champion Albertine and Carmichael, our points leader. David Villeman, what a challenger he's been. Robbie Reynard starting to put things together for Team Suzuki. Tortelli and Lusk from Team Honda. Lusk approaching the season rather conservatively. Windham looking for a big one here today. Mike Larocco, you can't rule him out of conditions like this. And of course, earlier we mentioned number 16, John Dowd, who got his very first victory in the mud in Sacramento as a privateer on a Honda back in 1991. And we don't want to overlook a former 500 GP motocross world champion, Shane King, who's used to conditions like this. Plus, he's on the KTM 4-stroke. Almost set to go for the 250s in our opening moto. The fans are well prepared with the umbrellas, etc. The 30-second board is up. Let's see who can get the whole shot now as they go up this hill.
This is the first time this season they've started in dirt. And man, is it a mess down there. You're starting in a deep rut. It's muddy before you even get going.
Ricky Carmichael picking the inside. The gate is dropped. We're off and running now for the 250s. Coming up the hill. John Dowd, a good start. Ricky Carmichael pretty good, but he gets boxed out a little bit in the corner, and mayhem in that first corner. Let's try to pick out some of the riders now. There you see Tortelli, number 21. Villeman is messed up in the first turn. Albertine, number 1, the defending champion, just leaving. Barry Hawk Jr., number 183.
I think back there to the right of the screen was Larocco, so a lot of the favorites going down.
And out in front,
Carmichael already goes down.
and John Dowd takes the lead, number 16, Team Kawasaki.
Good time to pull that tearaway, get your vision clean. I don't think anyone's going to challenge him right away. That's the best start Lusk has had this season. I think he'll be happy to sit where he is. Stay just out of the roost of John, and John can ride the mud, no doubt about that. He can ride the sand at Southwick when the conditions get extreme, hot, rough, muddy or sandy. That's when John really shines. He's got the start he needs to go out and prove it today. That's the Cannondale 4-stroke right there, running third, so a great debut for those guys.
Keith Johnson on that new bike, number 81.
And then Windham got a pretty good start. Shane King on that 4-stroke arc we talked about is right there behind Kevin in good shape.
Another look from the rear now of that first turn.
I think Tortelli got in there. It was hard to tell for sure. Got a little sideways. Japanese rider in the Honda got by on the inside, but look, There's Jeff Stanton. He's trying to help Tortelli get started. And there's Albertine, the defending champion, starting his day with a first turn pileup.
Right now, number 16, John Dowd, is out in front, the third winningest active rider with 6 career 250 motocross wins.
Well, I talked about earlier in the 125 as John just works his way around, nice on the throttle. See the lead he's already opened up. Talked about the start not being that critical. Yes, it is for vision, but if you're a good mud rider like Tortelli and Villeman, from what I hear, Villeman, according to Ryan Hughes, faster in the mud than he is on the dry. He was in that first turn pileup. I'm anxious to see just how far he can climb back up.
What a great break this is for John Dowd, who started the season with a back injury coming out of Supercross and really wasn't healed up during the first 2 races. Keith Johnson, number 81, in 3rd place on the new machine. The Cannon performing well in the mud.
Getting a little heat from Kevin now. Kevin has to go out and use some of the mud. The main line is being used by Keith right now. That good dry line that's starting to tack up because the rain has actually stopped now and it's getting a little stickier. Kevin's got to go out there to dodge that roost and ride through all the mud.
Ezra Luskin, 2nd place, and Ezra, this is a breakthrough day for him after 2 8th place finishes in the first 2 rounds. And there we have Johnson having trouble, and to the inside, Kevin Windham moves up another notch. Windham, this is the first opening moto at this racetrack on a 250. He hasn't got a whole shot. You mentioned earlier he was a great starter, but now he's moving up into contention.
Look how much he's got to fight the bike down that hill. Normally they come down that hill jumping 2 and 3, flying down that hill. And
oh, more tough times for Keith Johnson on the Cannondale. Picking the bike up, getting it back in order. We're going to have to take a break. Let's take a look now. John Dowd leading it with Luskin 2nd, Kevin Windham in 3rd, Shane King in 4th. 3rd round of the Chevy Trucks AMA Motocross Series. Greg Albertine, after getting caught in that first turn, David Bailey, is now in 15th place. And really, he came into this year as confident as ever that he was going to win the championship. This could set him back a bit.
yeah, it could, but he's also got to look at the fact that this is a 40-rider field. He took off last. He's all the way up to 15th right now. And in order to win 3 world championships, you got to encounter some mud along the way. So this is, we talked about the French guys being good in the mud. Albie's one of them as well.
Albie with a 4th at Glen Helen was much better than he really expected. In fact, he's ahead of last year's pace with the 6th at Sacramento. Here's David Villeman, currently in 8th place, battling back just like Albie.
Now, for any viewers that have heard me talk about how much I enjoy watching Villeman ride, coming up that hill back there, his throttle arm, his elbow was just about touching his knee. I mean, if you freeze frame this guy sometimes, he looks so awkward out there, but he is starting to work his way up through the field, and Tortelli is hitching a ride with him.
And Robbie Rayner not far behind in the battle for 7th place.
Look at Villeman just blast by Larry Ward right there, no problem. And that's Jeff Stanton to the left there, clapping for Tortelli. Stanton is everywhere. You'd think he had a bike out there to get to all these different vantage points.
So Villeman holding off Tortelli for the moment anyway. Tortelli with 1 career win, and Villeman getting his win last week at Sacramento.
You know, these guys probably almost wish it would rain a little bit more. Just, you see how it's one line it's getting in spots. Makes it pretty tough to pass. It hasn't been a problem for Tortelli or Villeman so far, but Villeman just makes his own line right there. Doesn't even worry about taking the groove, but the groove is really starting to develop, get dried out. It's a little tough to pass.
Wonderful balance by Villeman as he tries to put weight back on the machine. Tortelli coming to the inside, but Villeman got the traction coming up the hill.
Well, watch what he does right here. This is getting by the Japanese rider who's having a fine moto. Villeman just jumps up to the outside, goes, well, there's not really a berm here, so I'll just pitch it, square it back across, cuts over the main line, just makes his own line. And it sets him up better for the corner at the bottom. He was able to come in wide, dive to the inside, and make his pass.
Villeman and Narita having some problems there. Currently in 7th place. Regroups. He's having his best moto ever.
I'm sure he's listened to Jim Hawley somewhere along the way. The Japanese guys a lot of times come over and school under Jim Hawley, and Hawley was a great mud rider.
Tim Ferry, who won on this track as a 125 rider. number 15. And Villeman, 934.
Villeman at that distance right there is just out of the roost of Ferry. As he gets closer without goggles, he's going to have to take a different line and duck. It does no problem, just goes right around him. Villeman is moving. I see what Ryan Hughes is talking about now. He said Villeman is so fast in the mud.
And Ferry got sideways back there as Villeman just tears away from him.
The thing I like about Villeman's style, not so much as the looks of it and how his elbows might be a little low at times and climbing all over the bike, is that he's just so effective. He moves around. You can see what he means. Look at him. He's looking ahead all the way down that straightaway. He sees the riders down. He planned ahead. Doesn't lose any time as he goes through that corner. Most riders will come down and get into that berm and then realize there's a guy in the way, and they lose 5 or 6 seconds right there trying to get around.
Well, they certainly started the season hot with a third, a 4-4 at Glen Helen, and then the win with a 2-2 last week. There's Tortelli trying to make the move that Villeman made. Look at the mud starting to clog up all over the bike and helmet of Tortelli. And Mike LaRocco.
Looks like he might have gone down there. He's just trying to get things cleaned off. It's so frustrating when you can't even you can't hold on to the handlebars. You can't turn the throttle. There's nothing to touch that's clean.
We've got a study in contrast right here. Ricky Carmichael, who started in 2nd, is currently in 17th. We said he didn't like to be a mud rider. And the mud riders from France, like Tortelli and Villeman, who got poor starts, are up knocking on the door right now.
There's Shane King coming down the hill. He's trying to hold off Tortelli.
Shane King moving into 5th spot in front of Tortelli. Villeman is now in 4th. Shane King reached a point of frustration this year, his first American motocross experience. He was 15th overall. He's not used to those kind of finishes. And then in Sunday morning's qualifier at Sacramento, he hurt his back, but it looks like it's okay now as he's holding pretty true there against Tortelli. But still out in front. In fact, he's led the whole way is John Dowd.
Set it up for the mud.
Well, Davey, first of all, we start off by trying to keep the grips dry and keep the seat dry the best we can for sliding on the starts. Then we put some mud guards up here for the mud roost when it's hitting them, and sometimes it'll help if they fall and not get the handle grips into the mud. And then we use mud tires that'll clear out real well. They get packed up and it'll sling the mud out as well as have traction in the mud. We also put foam on everything, so when the mud gets squirted up in here, it doesn't pack in, and it still packs in, but this allows it a little maneuverability to be able to still be able to shift. And we also do it on the other side, which is the brake side. As far as suspension goes, our suspension technician usually stiffens everything, and you might run a little more preload because the mud weighs a lot and it's going to pack it down and make it ride down in the stroke. So we do a little fine tuning with suspension too.
So they have all that to do, as well as constantly keeping the bike clean, because you can't work on a muddy bike.
As the great mudder John Dowd continues to dominate this particular race. Here's the battle for 5th. Sebastian Tortelli, number 21, to the inside on Shane King. King's got more horsepower, but Tortelli's able to make the move. Tortelli in the 5th.
A puff of smoke coming off of Tortelli's bike every once in a while.
He's trying to clean his goggles off so he can see it. Here comes Shane King right back again. Oh, back and forth we go.
Well, I think King's been piling up all that roost on top of Tortelli's helmet. He was trying to get some of the mud off, so it was getting heavy. The visor comes down in front of you, you can't see, and he just thought he had enough of a lead on him to be able to clear it. It didn't work.
Those 4-strokes do kick up a lot more roost, that's for sure, as we take another look at John Dowd, our leader.
He's just got a little bit faster momentum everywhere. Not going to be able to get that lapper at the bottom of the hill, but here comes Tortelli again, paddling through there. It takes so much energy. You're doing a lot of that. Plus the front of your boots gets caked full of mud. It adds a couple of pounds to each one of them, and it wears your legs out.
Tortelli, 2nd here last year with a 3-2, and that's his mechanic, Shane Brew, looking on.
He's still paddling through that section. That main line now is starting to get really dry. As soon as you slip out of it, though, it's just 2 feet of mud.
Tortelli, a great conditioner. No question about that. Let's go down to Davey in the pits.
Shane, Sebastian got mixed up in that first turn crash.
Yeah, I guess
He went down to the Rocco and Albie and stuff. I didn't see what happened, but the only good thing is Villeman was in it, and Ricky crashed somewhere in the first lap, too. So we just got in the top 10 now, so we just have to do what we can do.
It's a survival run out there.
Just got to finish, you know. All the bike holds together, doesn't overheat, and get the maximum points we can and go to the second moto.
Good point. I didn't think about that. Most of the contenders were involved in that first crash melee. And, well, Ricky Carmichael, the points leader, was the only one, and he was in second place, and he's faded back.
Yeah, these guys get Tortelli, Villeman, Albertine. They can all look around and see that the other guy was laying on the ground. Look at all the help for Tortelli. King goes by, nobody claps. Tortelli gets there, and everyone jumps out in the track. Come on, get up there.
Ezra Lusk in second place. And this has got to be a real thrill for him this year after that devastating Supercross injury. Had to sit out the entire season.
He looks pretty smooth. Standing up, finding his line. Look how clean he is.
A lonely ride in second place so far for Ezra Lusk in our first 250 moto. Back in '98, he won his very first outdoor victory for Team Honda. He held off Doug Henry in Moto 2 to capture that victory and go 2-1.
Hard on the power up that hill. Find that tiny little line right there all the way back down. Look at the balance it takes to just stay in a 4-inch wide line.
David, Lusk has a different method to ward off the mud there on his helmet.
Yeah, that looks like foam to me. I think they've got like air filter foam or something up there. And, you know, instead of having to tear that off later, the mud just sort of bounces off of it.
John Dowd still our leader with Ezra Lusk in second place and his teammate Kevin Windham in third. Villeman up to fourth.
Look at what's happened here. Ezra Lusk, number 11, running second, went down. So Kevin Windham and 934 right there, David Villeman have moved into second and third, and Villeman has come from nearly last. He's got a shot to win this moto.
Incredible move by Villeman as we see our leader, number 16, Dowd, but right behind him now, Kevin Windham, number 14, and David Villeman. What a finish to this first moto. But it looked like John Dowd had a ride in the park. All of a sudden, he's got some competition on the final lap.
I think he thought he had it in the bag, just like you said, Art. I think Kevin thought he had second nailed and was going to go after Dowd. All of a sudden realized, good thinking, you better even turn it up a little bit more because Villeman is coming strong and has made up so much time each lap on these guys. We've got a three-way battle for the lead now.
Terrific for the fans here in the first moto of the 250s. You see Dowd, Windham, Villeman, Tortelli in fourth. Ezra Lusk is up and running in fifth.
Yeah, I would normally say that with this dried out one-line situation that you have in a lot of sections of the track, it'd be hard to pass. But and you see they're all taking the same line through here, but Villeman in a lot of cases has been able to go completely out somewhere else. It doesn't look attractive and still make his passes.
Well, Dowd's got the experience, that's for sure. He's ended up second in 250 points twice in his career. He had 3 wins, one of those years in 1997. Dowd coming down the hill. Here comes Windham, though. Dowd can't afford a mistake. Look at that back fender bouncing up and down.
All the weight of that mud underneath that fender makes it look like a paper towel back there flapping. And Dowd, you can really sense the aggressiveness now. He's been riding along all comfortable the whole moto. Now he has really picked it up.
They're approaching the area that Lusk went down and created what we see right here. An outstanding finish. Who comes out of there with traction and power? Oh, Dowd did a wonderful job of staying in front of Windham. Here comes Villeman now testing Windham. The checkers are getting ready. And it is John Dowd taking the checkered flag. His first moto win since 1997. Kevin Windham coming across in second. He's just coming off what might have been a breakthrough race in the second round in Sacramento. Third and fourth, the 2 freshmen, Villeman and Tortelli, coming back from near last for that fine position. Albertine not on that board, 11. Carmichael in 12th. Let's go back down to Davey now.
Well, John, it's well known that you like the mud. You just proved it again here at High Point, the first moto win.
Oh man, I'm surprised myself. I don't know. You know, I started out a little slow this year with my back injury, and I think this mud here was probably a blessing for me. I didn't have to deal with the big jumps and everything, and all the guys at Kawasaki and Bridgestone, they put together a good combination. I got the whole shot, and that made it a heck of a lot easier, I'll tell you.
Over the years, we've seen you do really well in a lot of mud races. How does this one stack up after one moto?
I don't know. I think my take on mud races is I think there's a lot of luck involved. So I just hope I can get another good start and hang on, not fall, you know, and not make too many mistakes. And I think that's all it's going to be, you know, least amount of mistakes and hope for the best.
It's an act of survival out there. Number 14, Kevin Windham, taking advantage of things, moving up into second place. He's on a roll right now. Let's go back to the podium and Davey.
But Kevin, we know you like the mud, but tell us about the end of the race there. That was pretty close between you and Ezra Villeman and, of course, John Dowd.
Yeah, you know, that's the way the race went out there. The track's getting fairly one line, and one lap Ezra would be, you know, 15 seconds in front of me, and the next lap I'd be right on his tail. And I was making a couple of mistakes. Villeman was coming up strong. I think everybody did at some point in the race make a mistake, but at the end, I don't know, I broke loose. I got a couple new lines in the back section with some real tricky off cameras, and I started feeling the heat from Villeman, so I picked it up and was able to catch Dowd, and I'm really happy for Dowd to hold on to that race and have a strong performance.
What about the second moto? Are you going to change your strategy at all?
Well, hopefully those lines I just found towards the end of the race will still be there. Hopefully the 125s won't get in them too deep. But you know, my bike's working great. Everything's going good. And on a rainy day like today, you can't help but thank your sponsors. You know, we couldn't be here without them. And I'd like to thank Honda, 1-800-COLLECT, No Fear, Alpine Star Boots, Scott Goggles, Araya Helmets, Cornwall Tools, and Dunlop Tires.
We heard he was a good mudder. Number 934 proved it. Here's just a sample of what he did during that first moto. David Villeman in good line now for the overall in his very first trip to Mount Morris.
Well, David, your mechanic, Brian, has an umbrella for you, but I don't know how good it's going to do. You just put in one heck of a ride.
Yeah, you know, I crashed first lap, first turn, and I crashed again on the first lap, and I was kind of last. And you know, I try out on this moto, and I find some good line, and I'm used to this kind of condition, and you know, I just finished behind Dowdy and Kevin, so it was a good ride for me, and my Yamaha works really good. And I want to thank all the team for that, and hopefully second moto work better for me.
When you went down on the start, what was the best you were thinking you could do at that point?
Yeah, we're thinking about top 8 or 5 maybe, but third is pretty good with a crash on the start, and it's good for the championship. And you know, it's a race to lose the championship here. We have to get some good points today.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far it's better. Yeah, it's good, very good.
Well, the weather is certainly making for some interesting racing here at Mount Morris, Pennsylvania, as the 125s have the big chore of cleaning up their bikes and getting to the gate for their second moto of the day. Big challenge for the mechanics to get things ready. We'll be right back. Getting ready for the second motos for the 125s and 250s. The 125s now getting ready at the gate. Look what just happened. Between motos, we had a downpour.
Imagine trying to get your starting spot all packed down and good. There really isn't much you can do.
How has it affected the track? Davey Combs.
As 125s get ready for the second moto, the track might actually be a little better, even though a giant cloudburst just went through. As you can see the water running down, it's formed puddles everywhere. That's going to at least keep the mud from sticking as much as it did before in the first moto. But still, the conditions are awful. This is probably the worst track that some of these riders have ever seen.
And Travis Pastrana's hoping for a little bit better luck, David.
Well, the first moto, you saw him trying to make a pass for the lead, his bike quit. It was a spark plug cap. Somehow worked its way loose, and he didn't get any spark to that plug, and the motor just died. It was actually a spectator that pointed it out to him, so what an unfortunate deal. But second moto is a whole new story, and if he can pull off a good finish, which it looks like he can here in these conditions, he shouldn't lose too many points.
And Steve Lamson looking just for a consistent performance. He knows what it takes to win a championship here with the 125, so we get set now for moto number 2.
The problem these guys are going to face this time is water.
Nick Way, number 23, 199, Travis Pastrana, 26, Stefan Roncada. All contenders. A good start by Travis Pastrana, but out in front, 7-11, Talon Bolin. The first turn pretty clean as far as bikes getting through it. And look at the water, the splashing. Talon Bolin's at the right place now.
This is the time when you really want to get that hole shot, because anybody from second on back is just getting plastered. There's McCormick.
Is that McCormick? Yes.
That's heading into the second corner, that sharp right, where Davey talked about to us earlier about pileups. Look at him right here. This is McCormick. He's going over the bars, it looks like a little bit. The rider behind him has nowhere to go. He goes up over the bike. Looks like maybe Skaggs. Does a somersault in the air. And then McCormick gets plowed. That's why he was holding his back. So luckily he's up and walking.
Talon Bolin slipping a little bit. And right now we've got a new leader. And it is Travis Pastrana. Pastrana taking advantage, coming from third. Here comes Bolin back again. Boy, did he put a spray on Travis.
That was horrible. It looked like he might have had just enough of a lead on Travis to just nail Travis right in the side, maybe wreck his vision a little bit. I think it's a good idea, though, to stay maybe second or third right here, not take any chances out front. Let the guy out front find those deep water holes, splash some of it out so you can save your bike.
Talon Bolin now pulling quite a lead here in the early going of the second moto of the 125s. Steve Lapson currently in third behind Pastrana. And we get a little jump out of there.
Very little. That's normally a huge double jump.
There's Lapson going through, and your guess is as good as mine on some of those.
Now this is going to be a tough corner to make. Doesn't have much problem getting through there. I thought that'd be much harder. That's going to be like a hill climb later on because they won't get any run at the hill.
Bolin Pastrana in the same picture, 1 and 2. Davey Coombs now working his way over to Lee McCullum, who's Pastrana's mechanic.
Be a good start for Travis. Yeah, it was a good start, just like the first moto, so hopefully he can keep going and finish this moto. What exactly happened at the end of that first moto? I made a pass for the lead on the last lap down there at the bottom of the hill and had a little bit of a problem and came around at about 13th. Was he disappointed, or was he just good old Travis, like, oh, well? Well, yeah, of course he was disappointed. Probably, I don't know, not as much as me, maybe, and all, but it was still good, and we'll just try to get some points this time.
Get a hydrofoil, like going through that stuff. Anyway, it was not a mechanical. As was pointed out earlier, it was just a freak accident that happened to Pastrana.
Yeah, I've never heard anything like that, and, you know, Travis is getting a weird initiation this first year. He's had just about everything happen so far, and he's got a chance in only his third national to pick up a moto win here. The way he rode the first moto, he's got to look at the lead here in this moto. He might be able to do it. Talon is no slouch in the mud, though.
He's plowing through it pretty well.
Yeah, he's been riding through plenty of mud during all those GP seasons.
So can Travis Pastrana take on the veteran Talon Bolin? We'll be right back to find out. Nick Way, growing up in Michigan, should handle this weather pretty well. We asked him about it earlier.
Well, living in Michigan, I grew up riding in the mud, but last year at Budds Creek, I didn't end up doing so well. You know, I crashed on the first turn and got stuck the first moto, so I didn't do as well as I wanted. So today in the mud, I got something to prove to myself, and you know, because I've always been really good in the mud, but you know, I didn't do so well in Budds Creek last year, so hopefully I do good here today.
Well, luck plays a big part in it. You can like it, you can be experienced at it, but it doesn't mean you're going to finish well when it comes to the muck.
Way looking pretty good right here. I think that's Way. Yeah, it is. Get him. Look how hard he's got to be on the throttle, working the clutch. He burned a clutch up so much worse in the mud because he used it a lot more. Look at him trying to get a good line. He's going to go wide, try to square it to get up that hill. That's the one I talked about, being a hill climb later in the day, because in these 125s, you can't build much momentum right there. The faster you get out of that corner, the faster you can get up the hill. It's going to take him a lot longer now. And as far as getting a start in the mud, really, you know, I've said kind of both ways, so I don't confuse people. You know, I've said you need to get a good start, yes, so you can save your vision and not get covered with mud right away. But we've already seen from the 250 first moto that both Tortelli and Villeman were laying in the first corner, were able to get back up and have a shot at winning the race. So if you're a good enough mud rider and you don't mind just going out there and getting soaked and covered with it, it's not that big of a deal if you don't get a great start.
Lamson's starting to pick it up a little bit. So is Paul Curry, having one of his better rides of the year from Plano Honda. Well, you got to hand it to the fans. This crowd is just as big as it would be on a sunny day.
They are hardcore. This Mount Morris crowd. Well, you know, I remember in 1983, this was actually the worst conditions I ever raced in. Was right here. I got lapped by Bob Hanna. I think I was 7th in the moto. He lapped me. And it was lakes going across the track everywhere, and some water got into the slide of my carburetor, and the throttle was sticking every once in a while. I had a horrible day. Didn't enjoy it at all. If I'd have enjoyed it, probably would have done a lot better. It's attitude, really. I think Steve has approached this day a little bit too conservatively. worried about the points. And, not that it's a bad strategy, but he's not doing as well as he'd like.
More tough luck for Stefan Roncada just going down. Roncada, who took a second place here back in '97, it was his first American podium, is not having that much fun.
Now, look at the skill of Roncada. I mean, he's a Supercross champion. He won the opener, and he just looks like an amateur going around that left turn. So difficult to try to keep your balance, find the line you want, get the power down, be in the right gear. Sometimes you run a gear higher because you got a lot more wheel spin. Your clothes get heavy. As a matter of fact, the race I did here, I had a chest protector that just covered the front of me. It got so caked with mud and so heavy, it was just hanging on the gas tank the whole race. That was more of a problem than negotiating the track.
A good shot of Talon Bolin on the off camber. Tries to keep the power up, but still square for the uphill. We asked him about his strategy about riding in the mud here at Mount Morris.
I don't really like it, though. I think it's same for everybody, and it's so much work for the mechanics. Kind of fun for the riders because we get to go around and play around on the bike, but they got to do so much work. And it's just hard for everybody because in mud, you don't realistically, even if you are a good mud rider, there's always that first turn mud, and you don't know if you're going to make it through there. So, I mean, I would prefer dry, but if it's mud, let it be and go out there and try to get some points. And, it could really change up the points today like that. So I know hopefully it just work in my favor. Try to be consistent and strong and just keep on moving forward. If you make a mistake, you just got to keep going.
That strategy's been very evident here, David.
Well, you can actually fall once a lap and still win this race. As long as you don't get too much mud on your grips, you can still turn the throttle and you're going fast enough. And in some cases, we've heard it before, if you don't fall, sometimes you're not going fast enough. It's never been more true than in a mud race like this.
And you never give up. It doesn't look like Travis Pastrana, but it is. And he isn't giving up in second place because you just never know what's going to happen to the rider in front of you.
That's true. These days, bikes are so reliable until you get into conditions like these. You never know what can happen.
Hope you can join us for our next telecast coming to you from Southwick on Sunday, the 25th of June, 1:30 in the afternoon.
Euro 2000 kicks off on June.
This is the third round of our U.S. Motocross Championship Series. It's Talon Bolin in the lead, and Kelly Smith, who took the win in the first moto, is currently in 5th place. David, this puts him in great stead for an overall.
He's got a chance. You can't start counting your chickens, though, in a race like this. I mean, like you said, before we went to break, anything can happen. Kelly knows that. He knows he's got to take good care of the bike. Can't go into any real deep ruts. You can throw a chain, get into a water puddle, a radiator can get clogged up, your bike can overheat, a lot of things. You got to not only try to go fast, but pick the best lines to take good care of the bike.
Our Davey Coombs is in the pits. He gets the inside stuff now from Kelly's mechanic. Can number 41 hold on?
Right now, the way we figured out, you're sitting pretty for the overall with a 1-5, but 2 bad starts almost cost you the race.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know that about the overall. Still a long way to go, so I'm not counting anything out.
How's the bike sound?
Bike's great. KTM's working awesome. They work really good in the water, so.
How was Kelly between motos?
Just as he always is, relaxed, funny, joking, just ready to go out.
While we're with Davey and looking at number 41, Kelly Smith, number 199 has taken the lead, Travis Pastrana. As hard as it looks out on the track, it's probably equally as difficult being a cameraman at this event.
Well, and for the cameras to stay working through these conditions, I mean, these are the best bikes in the world. And our cameras are suffering some of these problems, too. We've missed a couple of things today. We apologize for that. Ernesto Fonseca not having a good day.
Next year, he's going to practice in the rainforest in his native Costa Rica for this one.
Good luck picking that bike up. Plus, it looks like it's hurt a little bit. He's had a tough season. Last year came so easy for him. Travis getting all out of shape, trying to work his way through lap riders. But back on Fonseca, I mean, I think last year already everything kind of came too easy for him. He rode well and he deserved what he got as far as all those wins in the championship, but it came pretty easy for him. And this year, it really seems like he's having to pay some dues.
Nick Wade just coming into the picture there. He's in second place behind Travis Pastrana. Getting dangerously close. We could have a battle for the lead here soon. Right now, it's time for our Suzuki flashback. From 1970 to 1979, there was not a rider who dominated motocross like Suzuki's Roger DeCoster.
As a rider, well, I won 5 World Championships with them and 4 Trans-AMA Championship and several Motocross the Nations and Belgium Championships and so on. So most of my winning I did with Suzuki as a rider.
DeCoster has enjoyed so much success over his brilliant career, but the Belgian is most proud not of his titles or wins, but his efforts to help the sport he loves grow in popularity.
Other countries, I went to a lot of races, kind of more trying to push the sport, you know, making it more international and all that. I did things in Australia, in South America, you know, pretty much all over the world to try to promote it.
And thanks to his efforts back in the 1970s, there's no question motocross has grown around the world. And evidence of the popularity can be seen in the pits every race weekend.
Well, it's a lot different, you know. In 1970, there was not, there were no semis in the pit, you know. There was, we drove to most of the races. They pretty much took care of anything concerning the bike, but all the traveling and all the other stuff, you know, the riders did themselves, whether it was me or anybody else.
And for that, today's racers should stop by the Suzuki team manager's pit and thank one of the pioneers of the sport for his contributions. There's Kelly Smith, number 41, currently in 4th place. It's a good justification for the added support that KTM has given Kelly Smith and many of the other riders with a tremendous team effort this year.
It looks like he's having fun. He's just sliding the bike around, picking the lines he wants. No goggles. It's got to be hard to see right now. Got to go around all. Look at that line. There's 2 guys back there just waiting. Get out of the way. He was able to see that early and not lose too much time.
Oh!
That was Lamson. Good thing he had that handguard on there. Could have messed up his throttle or front brake lever when they made contact.
Here's Kelly Smith again. He joined Shane King earlier in the Supercross season as for the first time 2 4-strokes making it into the same main event. But history's being made every time these guys go on the track, it seems like. Davey.
Well, as expected, this has become just one giant survival test. The cool thing is, the guy that appears to be ready to win the overall is Kelly Smith from Michigan. That's going to be a little piece of history because a KTM has never won a national overall. In fact, before the first moto, they'd never won a moto either. So Kelly Smith's about to make history. As far as the championship goes, the bikes of both Pastrana and Lamson are sputtering severely, and Roncada is just having a lousy time keeping his Yamaha up. He might be out of the points. For Lamson and Pastrana, it's just about survival. Bolin looks good at 2nd.
And looking very good in 1st is Travis Pastrana as he passes a lapper Billy Payne of Pro Circuit Kawasaki.
You could hear that bike sputtering a little bit too as he came around that sweeper. Travis has to know that he may just end this moto the same way into the first one with a freak thing. Bikes these days, like I said, they're so dependable. You just pick them up off the showroom floor, put on the handlebars you like. In some cases, you just adjust them the way you like and go. But for a day like this, you got to make so many little changes to it to keep water from getting in. The ignition can become a problem. Brakes, overheating. It's a mechanic's nightmare.
Well, the ruts are really getting big. What's it going to do to the 250s in their final moto of the afternoon after these guys get done with it? Travis Pastrana continues to lead the 125 second moto from Mount Morris. We've got lots more motocross action nationwide hoping to come your way. Check us out. It is terrific to watch these live. Southwick, Massachusetts. Then we go to the Midwest. We go out west to an extremely beautiful track, Washougal, Washington, before going upstate New York and ending things out at Belmont, Pennsylvania.
All the riders are thinking and worrying about Jeremy McGrath. The next time it rains, they'll be worried about Travis Pastrana.
On his final lap, whoa, trying a trick in the mud. He knows how to give Roger DeCoster a heart attack. Takes those rollers fairly simply. And now the finish line jump with a checkered flag, and he does a heel clicker. Oh, my goodness. Travis Pastrana winning his very first moto in his first pro season. And Kelly Smith will nail down the first ever overall for himself as well as his team, KTM. There's a happy Roger DeCoster. Roger looking at Travis's dad, kind of shaking his head. Smile comes back on Travis Pastrana's face. As we take a look now at the final results, Pastrana away, Volan 1 through 3. Kelly Smith, that fourth will give him the overall. Lammy came back for fifth. And he should keep the points lead. We'll check officially a little bit later on. Right now, let's go back to Davey with our third place finisher.
Talon, that last one looked like a tough one.
It was for me, and I got the whole shot, rode really good the first half of the race, probably 20 minutes, and I went down back here on the side hill, got it up and going, but my hand was just complete mud. You get so heavy when you fall in the mud, you get up and your bike's all slippery underneath you. It wasn't like before, and I was starting to struggle a litlittle bit. And I really had a hard time with one lap. The whole 3 laps, I never got by him, and Nick got by me and got by that guy, and then I had no chance. So I tell you, it was, I mean, if you watch it on TV, it's a real struggle just to ride around the track. I mean, I was riding as slow as the slowest guy, but just staying up and keep pedaling. The 250s is going to be unbelievable chaos.
A great promo, Talon. Stay tuned, everybody. Look at Travis Pastrana turning a bad day into really a wonderful day for him, winning the moto. But in the overalls, Nick Way, a good second place finish. Kelly Smith, he's the big winner here today. Let's go down to Davey now, who's with the Kawasaki Pro Circuit rider.
But Nick, you never stopped charging out there, and you ended up getting second place behind your guy you grew up, I guess, racing with, Kelly Smith, 1-2 for Michigan out there in the mud.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty cool. We got the Mafia 1-2 on the podium there, kind of bring it back a little bit, and you know, I couldn't be happier. You know, I would have liked to win the overall, you know, but someone else had to win it out of my good buddy Kevin Kelly.
How was it out there on the last lap? We saw you battling with Talon Bowen, at least we think it was. It was hard to tell anyone out there.
Yeah, I put a pass on Talon here. I bumped him a little bit, kind of we got slid into each other, I guess, but you know, I knew that if I would have passed him, that would have been one more point in the overall because he finished 2 behind me and he had 2 points here. So, you know, I wanted to get by him, so I ended up second in the moto, but I couldn't have done it without my mechanic, Kevin, and my family, and Split Fire, Pro Circuit, 1-800 Collect, Chevy trucks, Bridgestone tires, you know, 4 Shoei helmets, Alpine Stars, and Spy goggles.
Go get cleaned up.
Yeah, thanks.
So how does all of this in the mud affect the points race? Well, Steve Lamson, after 3 rounds, has a 3-point lead on Roncada, a 6-point lead on Volan, and still, Travis Pastrana is still in it, only 27 points off the lead. Let's go back to Davey.
Travis, I have good news and bad news. The good news is that you won. The bad news is your cast is wet.
I can't believe it. The doctor told me not to go swimming with it. Mud bath, same thing, right? Maybe.
What a great race.
Hey, thanks a lot. You know, I can't say enough for my team. I had a little mishap. The spark plug cap just came out in the last corner while I was battling for the lead with Kelly Smith in the first moto. I love the mud. My goal was to come out here and have fun, and I did that. You know, the first moto was a little disheartening to go out and be so close to the finish. But, you know, congratulations to Kelly Smith. I think he took the overall, I'm not sure. But, man, I love playing the mud.
Well, I know that you grew up here as an amateur riding high and put on all the time. Have you ever seen it this bad?
I think the year Damon Bradshaw won was a little worse, but this was my worst mud race ever, and it was great.
Congratulations to you and Robert and Debbie, your whole family, your first moto win ever as a pro.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Last moto was the first one I ever led. This one's the first one I ever won. Man, welcome to the East Coast. I'm excited to be back home.
Survival, truly the word of the day, and Kelly Smith was the best of the survivors as he just stuck to it. Let's go back to Davey, who's with Kelly.
Kelly, I'd like to congratulate you not only on your first overall win, but for the first win ever for the manufacturer KTM here at High Point.
Thanks a lot. You know, it feels really great. Not the best of starts, but I ended up working my way up and, you know, got the 4th that second moto, and, you know, the overall went my way. That's great.
Were you thinking about when you're out there, was your strategy just stay up and stay in the points?
Yeah, you know, I didn't even, you know if I was going to get the overall. I didn't find out till they, you know, told me when I stopped here, and, you know, it's great.
You seem awful calm about it. I mean, that means your name is in the record books forever. You're right there with anyone in the history of motocross who ever won a national. You'll always have that.
Yeah, you know, it feels great, but, you know, another thing is, you know, it bumps me up on the points, and I don't think I'm going to have to run qualifiers next weekend. That's going to be great going into Southwick, because I love the sand, too.
Congratulations, Kelly.
Thanks a lot, Davey.
Next is the 250's turn to try the mud puddles here at Mount Morris. Can Greg Albertine, the defending champion, or Ricky Carmichael, the points leader, coming into the day's action? Can they make up for disappointing first motos? Or will John Dowd make it a sweep? We'll be right back. Motocross Championship Series. And this is the second moto coming up for the 250s, the final event of the day.
Look at the starting rut. After they get over the gate about 10 feet, they go right through water.
And we're underway. Kevin Windham, not the best of starts on the inside. Out front, it looks like John Dowd will get the whole shot money once again, number 16 on the Kawasaki. Windham riding one-handed right there on his right. Shane King goes down into the corner. Kevin Windham coming out of some uncharted territory there, looking down at the bike as Shane King now tries to get that four-stroke restarted, and he'll be back into the action in last place. Out in front, though, duck walking the rollers is John Dowd with Kevin Windham once again right there in second place.
Looked like that might have been Lusk running third. It's hard to tell. Already the third place guy is unrecognizable. And these ruts, all those lines that Kevin thought he had from the first moto, I don't know if they're going to be any good now. You see him duck as soon as he went across the line of Dowd. It's going to be important for him to save his vision and really lose his goggles in the first lap.
Dowd and Windham starting to pull away. You were right. That was Ezra Lusk in third, number 11. And then it's David Villeman.
Well, look out, because if Villeman could come from last to third with a fourth place start, these guys are in trouble.
Tortelli is in back of Villeman. So we've got the usual crowd up front. Whoa, hold on, Dowdy. John Dowd trying to hold a position, and Kevin Windham comes up there bar to bar for a little while. And John Dowd comes off the jump first. Kevin Windham's right there, though.
Yeah, I thought Kevin had the pass made, but Dowd went fishtailing right back across in front of Kevin. He had to back out of it. And that shows you the determination of Dowd. He was all over the bike, laying on the seat, and he wouldn't let off.
Through the creek.
Look at this again. This is too good. We got to show you. Look, in slow motion, you can really see how out of shape he got. All the way down the straightaway. He gets sideways. Looks like they might have even touched elbows a little bit right there, but Dowd ended up in a little bit better line.
Oh, here comes Windham on the off camber. And Dowdy got the better angle, and Windham almost lost his balance. Somebody else lost their balance. In fact, he's having a hard time even getting up after the crash. Don't blame me if I'm wrong, but I think that's Joshua Sweet. John Dowd, so far, has had a terrific day. And he's trying to hold off Kevin Windham, though. Windham is really giving him a chase here in the second moto.
I think Dowd realizes it's important, since he's got the lead, to try to hang on to it for a lap, at least a lap. Cover Kevin with as much mud as possible. I mean, if you really think stuff like that, you're roosting the guy a little bit on purpose. You're not really trying to dodge those water puddles. You're trying to really mess the guy up behind you if you can. Look how clean Dowd is compared to Windham, and that'll matter in the rest of the race.
Coming down the hill, trying to break, keeping that balance and still keep the power up.
Now, Kevin's just going after him and attacking. He's not hanging back and trying to stay out of that roost. He's trying to stay close. And look at the difference. You can barely recognize Kevin already. It's only been one lap. They got 30 minutes to go.
John Dowd, 2 whole shots on the day. You know, it's been a while since we heard from Jeremy Albrecht, John Dowd's mechanic. Let's get out of the pits.
J-Bone, those starts have been amazing for John today.
Yeah, definitely. You know, he got out there on the start, which is what he wanted to do. It's hard to tell really what's happening. It looks really slippery, so I don't know what's going on out there right now, but still a long race and a lot could happen.
What do you think's better, to have a muddy, tacky track or a slimy mud like this?
I would say probably slimy mud like this, but neither one of them is what I like.
We could be seeing more of Jeremy here in the near future. We're going to Southwick.
That's right. Dowd's fast up there. You know, Jeremy Albrecht, I mean, we haven't seen much of him since the Emick days, you know, but he's one of those guys that always seems like he's having a lot of fun out there. He told me he loved working with John. I remember back in St. Louis, I think it was, after the race, John crashed in the first turn, pretty spectacular-like. We had a replay of that. The bike went spinning through the air. Then he crashed again really hard in the whoops. Then he crashed again, and he never gave up. Jeremy loves a rider like that. Dowd's
on top right now with Windham, Lusk, Villeman, Tortelli, and Ward, our top 6. It's the final event of the afternoon. John Dowd winning the first moto of the 250s, and this is the second moto of the 250s, number 16, with that clean plate out in front once again with Kevin Windham in second place. Also a Team Honda that should be number 11, Ezra Lusk in third. And behind him, hanging right in there, is David Villeman. He really isn't attacking like David Bailey thought he might. Oh, what a crevasse that John Dowd got hung up in, and we've got a new leader. Kevin Windham has taken over the lead here in the second moto. If John Dowd could just keep upright, though, he still has the shot at the overall, a big one.
He's going to get 30 now, following that roost to Kevin. Actually, he's just outside of that roost zone. Lusk got a chance. He's up in there. This is a great opportunity for Lusk to get back in there, get a little confidence going. Although the conditions are weird, it's probably more of a physical test to ride today than any other time, so that should tell him he's back and ready. Watch this, what happens to John Dowd. He's trying to stay in that deep rut. Look how out of shape he got. He's clear off to the back of the bike, trying to follow that rut there. A little bit harder for him to stay in that under power than it was for Kevin out there in that slime, just pinned. He didn't have to pick a rut. Just had to try to stay out of the way of Dowd. They almost got together again there.
Now this might put a shot of adrenaline in Villeman as well.
Dowd trying to clear his vision. Coming up that hill, he really didn't have to do much of that in the opening lap or in the first moto. He was always the guy out front.
Dowdy's never won at this track. And it looks like, yes, it is a 5. It's Mike LaRocco picking himself up. A mediocre start on the motocross season after an outstanding supercross season, but it's just another tough moto for Mike LaRocco, who placed 13th in moto number 1. Dowd in second place, and Villeman has taken over, I believe he's taken over third. Let's check it as they come by. There's Dowd. There's Villeman on the outside. Yes. Villeman in third. The yellow flag is down. Villeman doesn't see the rider down. He has to almost stop. Lusk couldn't take advantage of it, though, and Villeman's back up to speed, trying to pursue Dowdy.
Pretty awesome turn, though, for Villeman. He got hung out there, and he was able to make that correction so quick. Like you said, Lusk couldn't take advantage when I really thought he had a chance there.
Now, when do they have time to read a mechanic's board going into that off-camber? Oh, look at Dowd trying to get up that hill. Here comes Villeman on the inside. David Villeman, he's got the shot at the overall right now as he goes into second place.
You can just tell by Villeman's body, he's just pushing that bike along. Longer legs are a little bit of a help. You've got so much more leverage over the bike to get traction and keep your balance on these off cambers. Villeman has just been awesome. Now he is starting to attack like I thought he would. Watch what he does. He comes into the corner really fast. He realizes he's got to make this pivot so he doesn't run over the guy in front of him. He just turns on a dime right there. Stays out of the way of Lusk. Really doesn't lose much time. The guy can pretty much take whatever line he wants, and in the mud, that's really hard to do.
Just a huge move for David Villeman, that's for sure. Yellow flag is out, and it's Kevin Windham who's down. We've got a new leader all of a sudden. 9:34 with mud all over it. David Villeman is our new leader. Dowd in second place. Lusk has now moved up to third. Windham is up and running in fourth.
There, look how tough it's getting for even Villeman paddling through that deep rut back there.
Well, Bolin warned us it'd be a little gnarly for the 250s in this last moto of the afternoon, and look at that terrain. It's incredible.
4-inch wide rut all the way down that straightaway and all the way up through there. It takes incredible balance. You get a little bit off right there, just like he did at that time. Look what happens. You get out into that deep mud, but he didn't seem to lose much time. He's got such great throttle control and balance.
Little mud skiing right there with the left foot for David Villeman, who is our new leader. Dowd in second, Lusk in third, Windham and Tortelli rounding out the top 5. Second moto 250s, Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. We've got a terrific freight train here for second place. Lusk, Dowd, Tortelli, and Windham, and John Dowd has made the pass on Ezra Lusk. For second place, Villeman is checked out. Now, if you can tell who the rest of these guys are, you let me know.
Well, the mechanics are having a hard time identifying their own riders. Look how slick it's getting coming down that hill just to find that rut. As soon as you're in a rut, you're pretty sure the bike's not going to slip out from underneath you. You just kind of ski with both feet on each side.
Good move by Dowd to get in front of Lusk right now. There you see it. They're taking the same line.
Just whatever line. They aim for a line, but you just have to be patient, knowing you might not get it. You might have to settle for a worse line or a deeper rut.
There's Tortelli, 21. And then Kevin Windham, number 14.
Second place is the toss-up between any of these guys right now. They're not making time on Villeman, but they're definitely in a great battle for second. And Windham still has a shot at the tail end of this battle. He could still get by all these guys. All Dowd's got to do is get stuck in a rut, and the other two guys get hung up behind him. Windham could pick a different line and shoot into second.
Nothing's for sure. That's a fact there, as Dowd got caught that front wheel.
It almost happened right there. It was weird. He got on the front brake so hard, the bike just stopped in it. There's a few sections out there that are one line, but the rest of it, there's 4 or 5 ruts starting to develop.
Mike LaRocco in 17th, as we saw in our rundown there. As Dowd tries to get a little distance, Lusk is having a hard time with Tortelli. Now, how come Tortelli's shirt is so clean on the backside?
I don't know.
He's not sitting back on the seat?
You know, usually when you let off, all that mud comes flying up off the rear tire and hits you in the back. Maybe he's just not letting off very much.
That could be a very good point. Out in front, battling the muck, is David Villeman. And David, we have to go back to the comment you made earlier.
Yeah, I was talking to Ryan Hughes. Ryan going back to ride the GPs this year, and he said, just watch Villeman. If it rains, that guy is so fast. He has proven it right here today. He's just making all these guys racing for second look like amateurs. Look how much trouble they have going up that hill. Villeman's going up there on a wheelie.
Here's Tortelli, and he is now in front of Lusk. There's Lusk number 11 as they try to weed their way through the lappers now. And Ricky Carmichael in 12th place in the first moto. More trouble here in the second. It's safe to say right now Ricky Carmichael will not be our points leader after Mount Morris. And more tough luck for the defending champion.
Is that who that is?
I think it's Albertine,
yeah,
number 1 right there.
He's going out there with no gloves, Art. That's impossible. At least with a little bit of material there, you can get some traction. It seems better for a moment, but bare hands, that's going to last about a lap. He's going to wish he had some gloves. I don't know if he has a choice right now, though.
Is that our leader? I believe it is.
He's going fast. It must be Villeman.
What a great feeling it's got to be for Villeman now. This could be his second overall win, his first moto win in his career here in America, and he could take over the points lead all in the same race.
You know, the long legs of Villeman act like so much extra balance and skis out there to help keep him upright in these ruts. Think about those people that walk across those tight wires way up how high. They have that pole they carry to help keep their balance. They can stick those legs out and get more balance and more traction to the rear end at times. So it's a little bit of an advantage to be tall. That's why Ricky Carmichael is having such a hard time today.
Here's Sebastian Tortelli, number 21. Tortelli's starting very strong in the motocross season with a 2-2 and then a 3-3. He wishes this was a 1-1, but that's not the case, as you can tell on the face of his mechanic, Shane Drew. And to be honest, we didn't expect for him to fall back in the points race during this point in time. Our Suzuki trivia question this week: name the last Suzuki 125 overall winner here at Mount Morris. The Suzuki trivia question: name the last Suzuki 125 overall winner at Mount Morris. It was Tim Ferry back in 1995. David Villeman is on his way to his second overall win in a row, but right here is Sebastian Tortelli, his fellow Frenchman, in second place. As you can tell with the track conditions, if you've just joined us, it's not been the optimum for these riders.
No, it's been tough for the riders, tough for the spectators, but I'll tell you what, this is a spectacular facility, fan-friendly, and it's just too bad that Mother Nature picked this week to rain on this beautiful track.
Now let's take a look at this week's Honda profile. Behind Sebastian Tortelli's motocross effort is his mechanic, Shane Drew. If you think Drew's only job is to tune the bike, you'd be sadly mistaken.
I think we're mechanics, but I think sometimes we're also, a good friend and a coach and a dad and a boss if we have to be. And so I think the biggest thing, most important thing is he trusts what I do on the bike.
While the riders spend hours training to meet Sunday's challenge, the mechanics spend just as many hours conditioning the bike.
I spend about 15 hours a week on the chassis and about another 5 hours a week rebuilding the engine. Every week we split the engine down to every last nut and bolt, inspect the transmission parts, inspect everything, replace what's necessary. So we put in over 20 hours of work just on the motorcycle before we even get to the track. And then it all starts again. We're there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly home one whole day, home for a day and a half, fly back another whole day, and do it all again.
What makes that workload worthwhile for all the tuners? It's the thrill of seeing their rider crossing the finish line first.
Sebastian's out there riding. It's my baby, my bike out there. He's using my bike for the day is all it is. I let him ride it. So we kind of live our lives through the riders, I think, because I think all of us mechanics are just frustrated riders. If we could be racing, we would be. So we're not good enough. So this is the next best thing, but we all love it. Sometimes we put in 80, 90, 100 hours a week when we have to, and you have to love your job to do that.
Shane Drew's rider right now, Tortelli, in second place. The battle's on for third between number 11 and 14. Once again, Honda teammates Lusk and Wyndham. So it's 3 Hondas in a row after David Villeman in this race. Honda's second, third, and fourth, but David Villeman continues to give Yamaha their greatest year ever. Back in 1997, we had similar wet conditions here at Mount Morris, and we saw some incredible action. Number 6, Larry Ward, was leading the race with Damon Bradshaw on the chase. It was the final lap. The overall was at stake as they go through lake-like conditions. Larry Ward loses the lead right here. Bradshaw cutting to the inside. Goes on to win the moto, winning his last national in a great motocross career. This victory tied him with Rick Johnson as the winningest rider in Mount Morris with 4 victories. That was truly an exciting moment for me to witness personally as we take a look at Kevin Wyndham, who's currently in 4th place. There's a new development in the pits. Let's go to Davey.
Down here in the pits, Greg Albertine is pulled in again. This is the 3rd time. As you can see, his mechanic Joe Mowers is getting another pair of goggles for him. He already stopped once to take his gloves off. The second time he put new gloves on. This time he's stopping for goggles. Just a disastrous day for Albertine. Almost as bad as the day Carmichael's having. You see his mechanic, Chad Watts, also standing there to help out. That's how bad it's gotten. The teams are helping each other just survive.
Another thing, Davey, that could really just scramble up the points race in the 250s after only 3 rounds of action before we take a weekend off and go to Southwick. Well, conditions haven't changed much. It's not raining now, but it's going to be interesting to see if David Villeman can take his 2nd consecutive overall victory and his very first moto win. We'll be back. Yamaha, who's been riding in 5th and 6th all day long, got in front of Lusk. But now all the attention is on this guy, David Villeman.
He has been phenomenal. He goes by some Yamaha crew guys right there. No goggles, just paddling his way around this racetrack.
He likes to do heel clickers. Travis Pastrana's done his.
I don't know if he's got anything left for that. He is a showman, though. He loves to put on a show for the crowd, but it's just too hard on this racetrack. It's just gotten so bad. He's probably glad he's only got 1 more lap now.
His very first American motocross moto win.
I think this has gone past the point of fun. This is the toughest off camber on the track. Ready? 1 more. Oh! I think that lapped rider, he was trying to...
Yeah. He's got to restart the engine, and luckily enough, he does it quickly. At the bottom of the hill, Tortelli, he was running in 3rd. He went down. He's already been passed by Ferry, Lusk, and Dowd. So with less than a half lap remaining in the race, Sebastian Tortelli drops all the way from 3rd to 6th place. And meanwhile, his fellow Frenchman right here, David Villeman, is coasting toward the checkered flag, puts the fist in the air, cruises over the finish line. The checkers for David Villeman. The victory here in the second moto gives him the overall. Kevin Windham second in the moto. Ferry, Lusk, Dowd all moving up in front of Tortelli. What a development on the last lap for Tortelli. Let's go to Davey.
Well, David, you won last week when it was 100 degrees out in California. You come here this week in the mud and rain. You proved that you can do it again.
Yeah, I did a great race in first heat, and I crushed on the start and come back third. So I was confident for this moto, and I start like 5th or 6th, and I just had like a couple laps to take the good timing because the track changed a lot with the big ruts, and after that I could pass my other rider, and Kevin crashed in front of me, so I could pass him, and after that I put away, and I'm so happy to win here again.
Which win was tougher, the one in the heat last week or the one here in the rain?
I think it was the one last week with Sebastian in second moto was pretty tough, and I think I looked easy in second moto when I won, but it was a tough race with a lot of big ruts, and lappers were very difficult to pass also. And I think it's a good race. My Yamaha works really great, and we changed a lot of parts for the mud, and it was good, and so I'm so happy for the team also.
With this overall victory, David Villeman has captured the momentum away from Ricky Carmichael. Also on the podium, Kevin Windham and John Dowd. Let's go back to that victory podium and Davey Coombs.
Well, Kevin, you had the lead early, but what happened?
I lost my front end going into one of these turns up here, and just one of those races. I made one real big mistake all day today, and I think for an hour and 10 minutes of racing or whatever we went, that's pretty good considering the track conditions. I was lucky to be able to keep it going, and made a couple mistakes. Just that was the only one that really bit me hard, and I lost some positions. But I'm really happy to come out here with a second overall.
Which moto was tougher, the first moto or the second moto?
I think by far the second. The track has gotten a lot slicker. It's kind of hitting some hard surface, and that rain in between motos kind of hit on it and made it pretty greasy. But like I said, it was brutal out there, and I'm just happy I can make it through.
With Carmichael having a pretty bad day, it really changes the point structure. Now you, Villeman, and Tortelli appear to have all caught him.
Yeah, he's had 2 bad motos today, and he's gonna come back. He's gonna ride good, but hopefully I can just keep pushing on. I feel like I'm riding great, no matter if it's wet, dry, or hot, or whatever. So I just want to keep my momentum going, and it's gonna be a long season. I think it's gonna be pretty exciting, and there's a lot of guys building confidence right now, and it's gonna be exciting towards the end.
Exciting, that's a pretty good word, it looks like. And going into today's race, Ricky Carmichael, as you see here, had a 9-point advantage over Sebastian Tortelli. Coming out of today's action, it goes to a 14-point deficit for Ricky Carmichael. David Villeman takes over the points lead, but it is still very, very close. He only has a 3-point advantage on Windham, an 8-point advantage on Tortelli, and 14 over Ricky Carmichael, David.
Well, we talked about big changes in the mud. We saw those changes today. Pastrana picks up his first win. He's building some momentum. Only lost 4 points to Steve Lamson. In the 250 class, the top 5 guys believe they're going to win this championship. It's going to get good.
Number 16 takes the checkered flag. John Dowd wins a moto today before going to Southwick, where he is very hard to beat. Art Ekman, David Bailey, Davey Coombs, thanking you for being with us from Mount Morris, Pennsylvania.